welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I am pretty good, sir. How are you?
I am well. I am well. Last week we did our recent reviews,
Yep.
and at the end of that you said, "Hey, let's do Tetsuo the Iron Man for our movie review." And I said, that's a fucked up movie. And I haven't watched it since the 90s, and I rewatched it yesterday, and that's a fucked up movie. But I had an absolute blast. I forgot how much I loved this movie.
Seen it. So there's a couple of bits I'd sort of forgotten, but
yeah, it gets lost in the mix because there's a lot of stuff that happens in a very short film. This is the shortest film we've ever reviewed, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah, I'd forgotten that it was this short.
It's like 100 minutes or something.
Yeah. So this is probably going to be a short video.
I would imagine so. Or sorry, no, it's not. It's 60, isn't it? It's about an hour.
Yeah, it's about an hour
long.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to, before we start, IMDb has the best tags for this film ever, and I just want to read them out to you.
Yeah, go on then.
Metal, rust, body horror, very little dialogue, giant metal phallus.
Okay, well,
I think that sums up this movie
that's
incredibly well.
Spot on, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't see better than that.
Yeah.
The only thing they missed there was erotic dancing.
Occasional erotic dancing. Yeah. But yeah, so of course we are reviewing Tetsuo the Iron Man from 1989. When did you first see this movie, Matt?
So one of my best mates is obsessed with Japan and Hong Kong at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not quite as obsessed as him, but pretty much.
You are massively into body horror. So.
I do love body horror, yes.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I didn't realise this. We're doing Shinya Tsukamoto before we're doing Cronenberg, which is.
That is true.
Yeah, we haven't done any Cronenberg yet, but
I want to do Videodrome soon.
Yeah, well, I think we'll do that. Maybe not next, but we'll do it in a couple
soon.
of.
Yeah, we don't want to do two in a row, but like soon. I was thinking about it. Watching this made me think about it, and I was like, I really want to do Videodrome. Actually,
same thing. As soon as I was watching this, I was like, oh damn, we haven't done Cronenberg yet. This is all wrong. We're doing it out of order.
I don't really mind which Cronenberg we do, but Videodrome is the one I haven't watched in recent.
I think Videodrome is probably the one that I would choose, partially because it's got Blondie in it. But so he was obsessed with, and as soon as he heard about this movie and it came out on video over here, we watched it. So I don't remember when it came out on video over here. I've got a feeling it was early 90s.
I certainly saw it like late 90s. And I don't think I've watched it since, but it stuck with me.
Yeah,
I definitely remembered it.
This in the 20 odd years that I've been with my wife, this is the only movie that she's made me turn off.
Really?
Yeah. This is
why?
I think we've seen some pretty gory movies before, but this one, for some reason, really got to her, and she didn't even get that far into it. And she said she thinks maybe because it reminds her of Superman 3.
Okay.
And when the bad guy's sister gets robotized.
Oh, I was trying to make a connection in my head. Yeah, okay.
So I think that terrified a lot of.
Yeah.
Scarred a lot of kids when they first saw that movie.
Yeah.
And I think it scarred her, and I think for some reason it reminded her of that. And yeah, she was like, no. I was like, oh, okay.
I was thinking back to 2007, 2008. No, maybe later. I don't know. Whenever Iron Man came out, and you always get that thing where all of those like Asylum and stuff, they always make these movies that kind of cash in so that grandmothers accidentally buy it for their grandsons and granddaughters. And I was thinking, I imagine a grandmother, like when Iron Man came back, is like, hey, I got you Iron Man.
Yeah. You really don't want to show this movie to your 13-year-old.
No.
I mean, okay, I don't know.
There's
probably
worse
not
things,
30,
but I wouldn't recommend it.
No. I mean...
But I do recommend this movie. I don't know who I recommend it to, but I love this movie.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think this is definitely one of those movies that is not for everyone.
Oh god, no! This is like a really arty, weird movie, and you're either gonna go with it or you're not. And I love it.
I think anybody who is into body horror, or I would say any fan of Lynch or Cronenberg would because I mean Tsukamoto said himself that those are his influences. So anybody who's into that sort of stuff, and doesn't mind a Japanese movie, anybody who likes industrial music.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that as we open. I love the soundtrack to this movie.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it?
It's awesome.
Oh, now I've got. Where's my notes? Chu Ishikawa, who was in 2 industrial bands, Der Außenrost and Zeitlich Vertiger. I probably completely mangled those, but so yeah, he hadn't ever scored a movie before at this point.
Yeah,
and Tsukamoto had played a couple of tapes that somebody gave him a load of tapes and said, "Look, this is what and he basically listened to them all and was, that one, that's the guy for me. And he basically said to her, look, I just want everything to sound like striking metal.
And it does.
And he said, damn, how am I going to... Like, first of all, he took it literally and thought, like, I can only do it with striking metal.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
And then, so he was like, oh, God, how is this going to work? And then he was like, hang on a minute, he probably doesn't mean literally.
It doesn't mean literally, yeah.
Yeah, so he came up with the soundtrack, and what a soundtrack it is.
Well, I mean, as we open, we get, because at first it's kind of, you don't really quite understand what's going on at first, which you could say for a lot of this movie, but you just get these scenes of this guy and all of this metal moving about and things happening to this incredible score. Like, it's such a driving, like, aggressive.
Well, that's not even before we've had the...
Oh, do we get the sex music first?
We get the metal fetishes first.
Yeah, no.
Coming in,
yeah, the intro. The intro bit with the metal fetishes is what I'm talking about.
We don't get the tune until until after that, because it's a dream, isn't it?
Did we watch 2 different movies? Because I'm pretty sure this opens with the credits are like literally the music's there, like almost immediately. That's how I remember it.
Okay, well,
I could be wrong. That's how I remember it from yesterday.
Well, the version I saw, you get the metal fetishist walking in. He does his thing.
Yeah,
and then you get the music with the salaryman.
That is not what I remember from yesterday, but we'll go with it.
Okay.
So anyway, the same scene, metal fetishist. It is in his hideout, and he's surrounded by like weird photos of athletes and stuff.
Yeah,
and
for some reason he seems to have 2 obsessions: metal and running people.
Yeah. But I see now. I am sure the version I saw literally had the music playing over this. As he puts the metal into his wound and stuff. The music is playing, I thought, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Not in the version that
I could be wrong. But anyway, the visuals here are incredible. The visuals for this whole movie, to be honest, especially considering the budget, are amazing.
Yeah.
And anyway, he's sweating and he's like, I don't know. It's weird because he sticks this metal rod into an open wound in his leg, right?
Cuts his leg open, and then and it's the way. The build-up as well. The metal pipe is ridged, and he
puts it between his teeth.
Runs
and
it along his teeth, and you get and then basically when he inserts it, the final push, that's when you get that explosion and that everything starts going on fire and all the pictures sort of like, and then you get sort of, it's a little later, you presume he's.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's a little later, and he unwraps the bandages and is surprised that after sticking this dirty metal rod into his open wound in his leg, that it's rotting and is covered in maggots. He's shocked by this, apparently.
Yeah.
So he starts screaming, and he runs out of his, I guess, place, hideout, wherever he is, factory,
in a scrapyard.
Yeah.
Stroke.
And
industrial factory.
He runs out into the street screaming, and then he's hit by a car.
Yeah. And then you get this amazing
sex music.
yeah, it's sort of
it's porn music,
saxophone, sort of. Would you say rock and roll?
Yeah, kind of. It just reminded me of like it is like kind of. I took it to be that it was like sexual.
Oh yeah, I think
weird
so.
Music because he just got hit by a car. He loves metal and stuff. He's
The
all
way
about that.
the way the camera
car's
then
filmed as
goes
well
over the car.
It's like filmed like a sex object.
You know,
yeah,
extreme close up as it goes along the wheels and the headlights, and then along the grill.
Yeah,
and as it goes along the grill, then you get the crash noise.
Mm.
And then, if I remember right, that's when you get the
driving metal score.
And you get that great shot of the salaryman at an angle. He's diagonal.
Yes.
And the light comes on, and just for a brief second, then it goes off again, and then the music's just amazing.
It's crazy. I love the music. To be honest, that was one of the things that really stood out to me rewatching this. Amazing.
Yeah, and he's, there are things popping underneath his jacket, which looks like they could be biological.
Yeah, he's having like all of these visions of like machinery and metal and weird stuff. And
you get the long, loving shots of weird machines doing God knows what.
Yes, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a steam hammer, and there's
it's like big industrial stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we cut to him shaving.
Yeah,
I think.
But he sort of wakes up, doesn't he? Because it was like
it's like a weird dream, and he's woken up in a hot sweat from the. And I was going to say as well, this movie is very sweaty.
Yeah, there's a lot of very sweaty.
But again, it adds to that, because even in the start, when the fetishist is putting the metal into his leg, you're like, is he sweating from like being aroused? Is it like sexual sweat? Is it the infection? Is it both? Is it just hot in there? Like, yeah, it's kind of and it kind of goes through this movie where people are sweating
coming off of him as well, isn't it?
Yes,
like heat rising off of him.
Yeah. So yeah, he wakes up from this crazy vision, and he goes to have a shave. And when he's shaving, he kind of notices this metal thing protruding from his cheek.
Yeah, it sort of looks like a diode, doesn't it? It's a bit.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminded me of? Is like, the IKEA Billy bookcases, the thing you used to hold the shelf up. It's like one of them coming out, like a small one of them coming out of his.
I did get vague flashbacks to First Contact.
Oh yeah! Oh god, yeah! I hadn't thought about that. The dream in a dream.
Yeah, and the thing coming out of his face at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a fair point that I hadn't considered. So of course, finding this as you would, he touches the metal thing because he's kind of like, what the hell is that in my face?
Yeah.
And as soon as he touches it, blood just kind of spurts everywhere.
Yeah, it's sort of almost like a spot. It sort of squirts blood everywhere, doesn't it?
And he kind of screams in pain. And then he's kind of like in a weird trance as he speaks to his girlfriend on the phone. He's got this.
He puts a plaster over it, and he's reading the newspaper, but with it right in his face. And all they're saying to each other is hello.
Yeah, over and over again.
Yeah. Wish wish.
And they're saying it in such a like kind of dead way.
Yeah.
And obviously we will come to realize why these two are, well, they're pretty. No, there's only one person in this film that I think is not messed up. But we'll get to her in a bit. These two are a fucked up couple.
Oh yeah.
And but they're almost like, I don't know if like some regrets come in here at this point, because they both sound very like they're in shock and kind of dead.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, he says that like she says that she can't stop thinking about what happened.
Well, it's almost like that they keep repeating the same thing again, and then all of a sudden he starts and sort of comes out of it, and then it's sort of she says hello, and he says hello, and then she says I can't stop thinking about what happened, and
yeah.
He's like, yeah, I've been feeling weird too.
Yeah. Doesn't mention the metal thing coming out of his face.
No, he does not.
But he bandages himself up, puts a plaster on it, and then he heads to work. He goes to work, but while on the platform, he sees who I think is the only innocent person in this movie.
Yeah,
this poor little woman, and she's just sat there, minding her own business,
reading her little book.
And a life lesson here: if you are ever out in public and you see a weird flesh metal heart thing on the ground, probably don't poke it.
Let's not poke it.
Just probably not. Probably not, because it is pulsating as well. Like it is clearly
it's pulsating, and you get she notices it. I mean, he sits down next to her and he's sweating buckets, and he's
again probably infection.
Yeah. You know, he moves away. She moves away from him, and then she notices the thing on the floor. And what I like is you get this double thing of you see her sort of looking at it, but you also see her looking at from the thing's point of view.
Yes, you kind of get it.
Very televisual. It's the screen flickers like it's somebody watching from a television.
Yeah,
and you also get like a quick flash of somebody inside a sort of metal womb.
Yes,
you just see his shoulder and sort of the back of his head.
Yeah,
and he's like, come on,
touch it.
Yeah, to this poor woman, and eventually she takes out. She goes to touch it, and then she stops herself, and she takes out very exaggeratedly, I might add. She takes out a pencil, and then she sort of, you see the just about to touch it, and then the camera flicks to the salaryman, who sort of sat there, and you can hear itching.
Yes,
hear scratching, and he looks down and he sees that her hand now is completely transformed. And she's scratching at it with a pencil.
Yeah, like relentlessly scratching at it.
Yeah.
And this weird growth of metal in flesh. And then she chases him.
Yeah, she turns to him and her face is altered. She's got sort of ridges on her forehead, and she basically chases him down.
Yeah,
and
I love very System Shock at this stage.
Yeah. I love the way whenever so the salaryman, he's running through the subway, and he comes out onto the street, and he moves along sort of alleyways and things until
it's my favorite part of the movie.
He ends up in this sort of toilet, but the journey there, the camera just sort of doesn't really almost focus on him as he's moving. It's like focusing on the network of pipes that run along these alleyways and things. And
well, it's weird because you later, because this is actually my favorite part of the movie, is all the bits when they're traveling.
Yeah,
I just think are like mesmerizing and just amazing to watch. Yeah. And it's weird because like even later you've got those really fast shots, and like you said, it's focusing on everything around them, but like it's almost like whenever it cuts to them, they're not moving. The camera's moving around them, and they're just stood still but moving forward, even though they're not clearly moving. And it's a really weird effect, but it's awesome. Yeah,
it's a big old stop motion movement thing, isn't it? It's they're sort of sliding along through the world, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So eventually, she, he runs and hides, in like a workshop.
It's a toilet, isn't it? It's a toilet which has got this weird grid on the top of it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, she catches up with him. And after a bit of a struggle, he does manage to.
He stabs her.
Yeah.
He stabs her with a pen, I think, through the grate into her neck, and she sort of topples back, and he comes out, and he thinks that's it, and he goes to walk off, and of course she gets up again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you get the first of the actual movements.
Yeah.
At this point you don't actually see it. You just see the movement, and he ends up smacking against a wall, sort of things. Like, how did that happen? What just happened? And you notice that the heels of his feet are. You don't get a good shot of them yet.
But they're clearly deformed, and something weird's happening down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the poor woman she's down as woman in glasses.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's actually named.
No. He's, you've got the metal fetishist,
the businessman,
salaryman, and then you've got woman, which is his girlfriend.
Robert Downey Jr. and Pepper Potts. Yeah. So after defeating her,
she tracks him down. She holds him against the wall, and she basically looks like she's inserting the hand, which is like all gooey and gross, into his mouth.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up in his apartment.
Yeah. And then he has another weird dream almost immediately after, where he sees his girlfriend dancing around.
Yeah.
With a giant hose penis.
Yep.
And then she...
And he's in this... It's her living room, and he's naked, and he's, on all fours.
Yeah.
And she's, doing this weird exotic dance with this weird sort of hose.
Yeah.
With what not quite as drilly as as subsequent, but it's got a big metal head on it.
It does indeed.
And then proceeds to bugger him, basically.
Yes, to be clear, this is not yet the giant metal phallus that IMDb was referring to.
Yeah.
This is big, but this is long. It's long, but it doesn't have.
Before you get to that one,
this one's got the length, but it doesn't have the girth of the metal phallus. We'll get to in a moment. So she sodomizes him with this hose phallus thing. And then I guess he wakes up.
It's up again.
Yeah, like you said, it is very first contact with the dream in the dream. And then he realizes that he's starting to transform. Like I guess he's because he looks at his feet and then he looks at his arms as well, I think.
Yeah, his arm has got like a big block of something on it now.
Yes, yeah. So then he goes to meet his girlfriend, and they have sex.
Yep.
And then, like,
in a number of different
all the positions,
ways, and all over the little apartment.
And then he starts feeding her food.
Yeah, it's a really weird, and this scene is supposed to be funny.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was kind of gross and horrific.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be funny. And
I didn't get that.
See, I kind of find it funny because.
But it's weird because there are bits of this film that I found funny that I'm pretty sure they didn't intend to find funny.
Yeah.
But this bit I found kind of gross and weird.
I think it's definitely, I guess similar to American Psycho. It is definitely funny, but in a very bleak and dark way.
Yeah, okay.
He's cooked.
It looks like noodles of some kind.
Breakfast or something. It looks like onions, and there's a sauce. There's definitely a sausage.
Sausage, yeah. There's sausage. I thought it was noodles at first, and then sausage or something. But it might be onions rather than noodles. You might be right.
He picks up a forkful and puts it in her mouth. And when
sounds like metal.
Yeah, when she bites down on it, it scrapes, and he sort of feels it.
Yeah, he kind of winces, doesn't he?
And he's sort of, he's feeding her at arm's length, but he's sort of obsessively scraping the food off this.
Oh yeah, because you get the noise of the scrape as well on the plate.
And he's, and she takes this bite every time, and it's a different sort of scraping sound till it sort of booms at him because he takes this sausage, and I mean. That's the thing I think is funny, the sausage thing.
The sausage is funny.
The suggestive sausage that she bites to an explosion.
And he kind of suddenly loses control and hides himself away in the bathroom. I think it's the bathroom.
Yeah, it's the bathroom.
And he refuses to come out, and he's like, you can't see me. And she's like, you won't freak me out. I'm made of sterner stuff.
Yeah, nothing shocks me.
And it's like, I think you're going to regret this decision. She's very insistent because he's like, no, leave me alone, go away. You can't see this. You can't see me like this. And she's like, I can take it. Which, again, words she will come to regret.
Yes, she definitely chooses the wrong words there.
Yes, as the Joker says in Dark Knight, poor choice of words. So he opens the door, and he now has a giant penis made of metal drill.
Yeah.
And he basically starts attacking her. It's almost like he doesn't want to, but like he can't control himself. He's like lost control of and they kind of tussle and fight for a bit. She manages to stab him with a fork or a knife. It's a knife, I think.
She stabs him a couple of times, doesn't she? Stabs him, I think, in the arm or the leg at first, and he backs off a little, but he's still this drill that he's brandishing at her. And then I think she
stabs him in the neck.
Yeah, and he basically goes down.
And this is the thing, because then she thinks he's dead, right?
Yeah.
Presumably, because he's on the floor at that point. Yeah. But then she decides to sit on him, to like kind of sit on his chest, right next to the massive giant penis drill.
I think it's almost like she chooses to impale herself on it.
Maybe. I did think this was a tactical error on her part. Yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe that is the intention that she does.
I think the intent is that she's killed her lover and now she wants to join him.
Well, we will find out that she is all about having sex around dead things, so it's not terribly surprising if that's the way she decides to go here.
We probably have had the first. Have we had the first?
We get clips of it, but I don't think we see the full thing until right near the end.
See it on the TV, and also on the TV actually.
We do see them having sex on the TV quite a lot.
Yeah,
but we don't get the context of that.
So there's also on the screen. So before, Tsukamoto and all the people in this movie, they were all part of this theatre company called the Kaiju. I think it was the Kaiju Theatre Company.
Okay.
And they'd made two sort of short movies before this. I think one's called The Adventures of Rod Boy, I think is one. And the other one is...
I shouldn't have amused me as much as it did, but...
Yeah, the other one is... I'm going to mess this right up. Futsu Shaizu no Kaijin. And that one is basically it's an 18-minute version of this movie that they did
really?
first.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a very truncated version of this movie.
Right.
And
so is it actually this movie and then they added more to make this movie, or is it completely different shots?
It's completely... I mean, you can see...
It's the same but different. What I mean is it's not like they filmed 18 minutes of scenes and then added more.
No,
they completely different.
Shot it. They reshot the whole thing, and but they reused obviously bits and pieces from some of the objects and things, but it's completely reshot. It is on YouTube. There's a version of and of the Adventures of Rod Boy, which is that one's about a boy who has a
giant metal penis.
A telegraph pole growing out of his back.
Oh, that went a different direction to what I expected.
It's weird. He's sort of bullied. This girl saves him, and then he produces a time machine and says, "Look at this." And then he ends up being sucked into the future, where a group of vampires are trying to build a machine to block out the sun.
Okay.
And they travel like they do.
They'll put all of the other sun-blocking businesses out of business.
Yeah.
That's the plot line to Highlander 2.
Yeah, it is.
The Earth Shield, they claim is putting other businesses... They have a monopoly on the Earth Shield. It's like, how many Earth Shield companies are there right there?
there are parts of those videos playing on the TV at random parts throughout the movie.
Yeah. So anyway, he's not dead. Spoilers.
Yeah.
And the drill turns back on and it kills her. And he basically wakes up after this and he kind of realizes that, you know, his girlfriend's dead, and obviously he's quite distraught. And then
you don't see the actual, like, the wounds or anything, but you do see
the corpse,
spurt of blood.
Yeah, and you see her lying there.
Yeah.
The implication is that she's died.
Yes.
Horribly.
Oh yeah. I don't think. Well, yes, she's definitely dead.
She's most certainly dead. And we also, I think, at this point, get the fetishist.
We
laughing
see him in his little metal womb.
Mm-hmm. So he is now kind of the Iron Man. Well, he keeps growing, but you know, he gets a phone call.
That's the thing we forgot to say actually. While him and his girlfriend are fighting, he is sort of absorbing bits of metal and things as he's going along, and she throws cutlery at him, and he uses cutlery. He actually re-energizes himself by sticking a fork in the thing, and I think he goes to kill himself, but it doesn't kill him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say.
Then he gets the phone call.
He gets the phone call from the fetishist, and he basically says, you know, he's coming for it. And I think this is where we see the full scene. So the fetishist was busy jabbing metal into his thigh, and then he realized it was going off, and that he was on the turn, and then he ran out in the road, and he gets hit over. He just happens to get hit over by two perverts in their car, and they run him over, and at first you think, oh, they're shocked. But then they decide, well, first you're like, okay, this was an accident, right? They didn't mean to run him over. They ran him over. Now they just want to hide the body because they don't want to go to prison or whatever. So that's what they're going to do. And you get those shots and you're like, okay. And you see the camera rolling down the hill as if they've thrown the body down the hill, because you're kind of seeing it from the fetishist's perspective. Yeah. But then they decide to have sex in front of his dead body in the forest. Yeah. Which I guess that added insult to injury to their,
I think so, yeah.
I think he was a bit annoyed about that. So the fetishist is now coming for revenge.
Yeah, and I love that you get this sort of weird, he puts on makeup.
Yeah.
He spikes his hair.
Yeah.
And then he produces flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And he, shoots across the city holding these flowers.
And again, I love these shots. All of the travel shots in this movie are awesome.
Yeah. And this one's really good because, like, in his wake, actually, it's not his wake, is it? It's before him. It's like the wave before him. As he's traveling, the wave before him, smushes all the metal, so you get things like a row of bicycles that all sort of mangle.
It's all like stop motion, and it just looks amazing.
Yeah, it's completely stop motion. I mean, this movie took 18 months to make.
I'm surprised it didn't take longer. Some of these animated scenes, I just imagine taking forever. But, it's awesome. So I think the business guy tries to electrocute himself.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work. It just makes it worse, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, the fetishist arrives, and he possesses the girlfriend, the dead girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And as her starts attacking the businessman,
he says he's surprised that he's not dead. He's sort of fascinated that this didn't kill him.
Yeah. And then eventually, it she kind of bubbles and kind of I don't know. It's almost like she kind of like rots away, and he's there. That's the only way I can explain it.
I think it's because he's sort of rusting, isn't he? Because he explains later that the parts that he used weren't stainless steel.
No shit.
The parts that he used on him, the parts that he got, the salaryman got, were stainless steel, so they're not rusting.
Yeah. And you can kind of see that in the way they look as well.
Yeah.
Like, the fetishist is way more dirty.
Yeah.
In color, this movie's in black and white, by the way.
Yes.
But in terms of like the tones and whatnot, and the makeup as well makes him look a lot more dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the businessman is quite gleaming metal whenever you see it. So
yeah.
I won't say it makes sense. I was about to say it makes sense. I don't know that it makes any sense. But there is a logic.
It makes sense within the movie.
There is some internal logic at play here. So anyway, he appears from within his girlfriend, and basically kind of overpowers the businessman, and kind of gives him this crazy vision of the new world.
Yeah, he says, "Let me show you the new world."
And you'd be surprised to find out everything in the future is metal.
Everything is metal, and he's basically he's puts a TV on him, doesn't he? He puts it right into his face, and it basically merges in onto his head.
Mm-hmm.
And he's shown this land. It's quite an amazing landscape of just metal, and how do you describe it? It's like weird balls suspended by limbs, and it's just a massive, endless field of metal.
Yeah. And then they fight, and the fetishist, we get these again amazing scene of the fetishist chasing the businessman through the city.
Yeah,
which I love. It's kind of just an escalation of what we've already seen, but it is just awesome. And then he's kind of taken out briefly. He gets this vision, I think, of his childhood, I'm assuming.
So we get two things. We get the scene of a doctor who says, how are you surviving? Right, yeah. How are you surviving? This you've got a piece of metal in your head.
Yeah.
And he says to him, I love the way that the doctor just says, well, if I remove it, you'll die. Just think of it as jewelry.
Why not?
Yeah. And then you get this other... So when they're zooming through the city, you keep seeing this tramp.
Yes.
So, like in alcoves and things, and as it goes away. And then you sort of later you get this vision of the tramp sort of saying, "Hey boy," and he starts beating this boy with this metal pipe, and
presumably that's where part of it ended up in his brain.
So basically you get what I like that what this does is, because it's you get the adult voices going no sort of thing, it's stop, and then they sort of morph into a child's voice.
Yeah.
So this clearly happened to the metal fetishist. He obviously got attacked at some point by a tramp who
lodged a piece of metal in his brain.
Basically beat him with a pipe until it was lodged into his head, and he survived it.
Not only did he survive it, but he also thought, more of this, please.
Yeah, I like it. Let's do some more.
This metal inside my body.
Yeah. So apparently, there's two scenes that were removed from the movie.
Oh, really?
When he was editing. Yeah. There's a scene where he killed the metal fetishist kills the doctor.
Oh, okay.
So, but when presume when he was a kid. So he decided that it didn't quite gel enough with the overall story. And the other one is apparently the girl with glasses does a whole tap dance routine.
Oh, that I would have liked to have seen.
And he basically said,
as the crazy robot.
Yeah.
That would have been
kind of fun. And he said, even though it was like really cool and beautiful, he said it was too singular for the movie.
Fair enough.
So he removed it.
So after that,
the TV falls off his face.
Yes.
We get the origin sort of story.
Mm-hmm. And then
this is actually where he explains about the rust, I think, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And the businessman manages to kind of escape to this factory, doesn't he? And he's resting in a factory.
Yeah.
I guess assuming that he's got away or that it's kind of resolved, but then the fetishist turns up and attacks him. But now, like, the businessman is like this huge lumbering mass of metal at this point. And so he's kind of beyond the fetishist's attack ability now. Like he's become, I guess, through the power of stainless steel, he's more powerful now, and he's huge. So the fetishist attacks him, and then we get this great stop motion scene where they're kind of absorbed. He's absorbed. The fetishist is absorbed, and they combine into this one thing.
Yeah, again, you get a lot of weird womb imagery.
Oh, this whole movie is just full of sexual imagery, and frustration, and
well, the
lust, and just
the main theme of the movie basically is, so Tsukamoto basically saw where he lived when he was a kid. There were like green areas, and he remembered it that way, but slowly as he got older, it was all industrialized. And his father was very strict. His father worked in advertising, and he was very strict. And his whole thing was, you have to be number one, because if you're number two, you might as well be number 600.
Right.
And
so
his
like
brother
ruthless business.
Yeah, his brother apparently was very sporty, and
so he was number one. So
his brother embraced that philosophy, and Shinya wanted to make movies, and he wanted to draw, and he wanted to do art. And his dad basically went, every time he saw him drawing, would go, "Yeah, that's useless. You're worthless."
Right.
And for a while, he actually did become a salaryman. He worked in advertising. He made adverts.
Right.
And then he decided that he did no longer wanted to do that because it wasn't fulfilling him. He saw the crushing pressure that salaryman gets to them, and all the industrializing that turns people into basically robots is what he saw it. So he left that and made up this theater company that toured, and obviously all the people that are in this were in that theater company.
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of it's all about obviously fetishism as well, I think, but it's
also the death
the core
of
is
nature,
the rapid industrialization and the pressures of being a salaryman.
Ah, interesting. I can see all those themes now that you've said it. So. Anyway, as one big lumbering monstrosity of metal, they charge through the streets, and they're gonna burn the world.
Yep.
And then turn everything into rust.
I mean, you haven't described the big lumbering monstrosity.
Well, do you want to describe it?
So it's literally a giant pulsing penis.
Yeah.
Which the fetishist is coming out of the tip of.
Of course.
Holding an Uzi. And the salaryman is in the shaft along the pulsing vein of this penis, and they say how wonderful they feel and how it is, and that they're going to make everything metal.
They're going to make everything metal, and I think we get more sex music.
Yeah.
To finish it off. So that was short but sweet, but that was the Iron Man, Tetsuo, a film that I've the more we were talking through this, the more I was like, it's really difficult to explain a movie that is mostly visual. This is a film you just kind of have to see. Like it's visually stunning, I think, especially for the budget.
There are some amazing close-ups, and there's a lot of very close-up eyes and faces that are and they're all amazingly expressive. They're all obviously overacting.
Yeah,
and which I think is a very conscious choice. They're not bad actors. They're doing it on purpose.
Yes. Oh yeah. I don't think there's much in the way of accidents in this movie. It's very purposeful.
Yeah. I mean, so when they were making it, they all lived in that apartment. The apartment you see is the woman's apartment. It's
Oh really?
What was her name? Kei Fujiwara. So they all lived there except for Tomura Taguchi, who played the salaryman. He was the only one that said, "Okay, I'm not going to live in here. I'm going to, distance myself during the evening, and I'm going to go away and come back." And he said, over the the time that they were doing it, slowly but surely people just dropped away and they left because the conditions were so bad. And I think Tsukamoto was a bit of a tyrant, I get the impression. And he himself says, well, yeah, of course, I was, and they kind of everybody fell out. They all fell out. Even Kei Fujiwara, who was kind of his partner in crime, as it were. She did all the costumes and she did some of the cinematography, and I think she was surprised that he credited her with all these things actually when the thing was finished. But Taguchi was the only one that sort of stuck with it, and he said he said he left one day, and when he came back, the entire lighting crew had gone.
God. So
he had to do the rest of the lighting himself.
Wow.
And literally by the end of it, the only people left were the core
cast.
I think 3.
And the camera, the director, I guess.
Yeah, and that was it. And I think Taguchi is the only one that sort of remained friends with him.
Oh, right.
And he says mainly because he just wasn't around it.
Because from memory, he turned up for the sequel, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, which is another interesting
because I mean,
movie.
it's not really a sequel because
it kind of is, but it is like all of this promise of making the world rust comes to nothing, and then in the next one he's just a normal salesman again. But then he still has the metal powers.
It's different people. Yeah, they're different people. It's not really connected at all. Because at the end of this movie, they make the world. As far as I'm concerned, they make the world metal. That's it.
Yeah, I always thought that it was the same character, but they just basically did a retcon on the whole thing, and he was like somehow just transformed back into a normal salesman again. Yeah, I don't know.
Because in the second one you see.
It's about his son in the second one, isn't it? His son gets abducted or something.
Him and the metal fetishists were brothers. They're I call him the metal fetishist. Tsukamoto was is their brothers, and they were experimented on by their father.
Right.
In that version, so it's not actually connected.
Right. Okay. I barely remember the sequel.
I haven't seen the third one.
No, I didn't even know there was a third one, so that's news to me.
The Bullet Man. It came out in 2009, and I've never seen
I found it. There we go.
Yeah, I've not seen that one, so I don't know how that one goes.
No. Looks like a different cast, potentially. Looking at the trailer, I didn't even know that existed. So that's new. But yeah, in any case, I don't know. Like I said, if you're into body horror and really weird art movies, and
if you want an
experience, I think you were about to say that is a good. If you want an experience, that's what it is. More than a film, it is an experience.
And for me, what I love about this movie, it's for me, it's the same sort of thing that you get with Cronenberg and Lynch, and for me, it's look what you can do
with no budget,
with just a camera and some friends.
Yeah.
Look at the
artistry.
Exactly, the artistry, and it's if nothing else, just appreciate what these guys did, with very little. And it's like we said at the beginning, it's really not for everybody.
No.
It's not. But
I will say I loved rewatching this. I had a blast.
Yeah, it's a great little, like I said, I'd forgotten how short it was, but it's a great movie for just the pure fantasy of it, the pure, technical brilliance of what you can do with these few things.
Yeah.
And he went, obviously he went on and he he's done a lot of other movies afterwards. This one kind of made him. It won the I think it was the an Italian film festival. One of the judges, which was just brilliant, one of the judges of that festival was Lloyd Kaufman.
Huh.
Which kind of says, well, I mean, Lloyd Kaufman would clearly love this movie.
Yeah.
This is sort of right up his alley, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, they won that, and he was weirdly, while he was making this, the Rod Boy, I think he put that in for a competition. I forget where it was, but it was another film festival. And while he was making Tetsuo, he got the message that it actually won this prize, and he was like, "Wow, I've actually so his previous short had already got somewhere."
Yeah.
So and this kind of made him, and that he's obviously for the second one,
yeah,
they gave him a budget. He had a budget he worked with, and he's gone on to make some. They're all very provocative films. Most of his movies, they're not standard movies. There's some really interesting stuff. Like I think it's Snake in June is really good, and what's the other one that I really like? Tokyo Fist is really good as well.
Yeah,
he's a great sort of I would say singular director. He has a real eye for these amazing details. And listen, he edited the Tetsuo. He did a lot of it himself. He edited it himself. He said, and at one point he got to the point where he was going to burn the negative.
Really?
Yeah, he's because of whenever his father criticized his work, he would immediately rip it up, and destroy it. And I think he got to the stage where he thought maybe this is his dad's right sort of thing, and he was going to burn the negative. He's like, no, fuck this. And you think, Jesus Christ, can you imagine all that effort just to burn it?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there have been people in the world that have done that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We haven't seen those movies because the director didn't. But thankfully, I think we didn't get that, and he preserved it, and we got to see this absolutely amazing movie.
Yeah, it's incredible. But yes, so that was Tetsuo the Iron Man, and check it out. It's certainly a short movie, so won't take much of your time. But
and I couldn't convince my wife to watch it this time.
I'm not surprised.
I said, "Oh, I'm going to watch Tetsuo. Do you want to watch it?" He went, "No."
Absolutely
Are you
not.
sure? Are you sure you don't want to watch it? No.
But yes, so we will be back next week with our usual review fare. I went to the cinema, and I might go to the cinema this week. I might do 2 weekends at the cinema. Imagine that.
Good lord.
What is happening in the world? I saw Creed 3 last weekend, and might see 65 this weekend, depending on a few people want to fancy watching it. So might end up doing that. You're welcome to join us, of course. Yeah. So we'll be back next week with all of that good stuff. But until then, stay safe, take care. And for the shortest episode ever of this podcast, we will catch you next time.